I was a friend of mine.
It's not often where you have a, what did you say, you said 7:30 to 3:30?
Yeah.
It's very, not many places you can say that's the schedule, you know?
Yeah, dude. School.
School.
You know?
Oh.
Back to it. Yeah, I never thought I'd be in, like, elementary school again, but here we are.
How is it? You like your ABCs?
Yeah, I'm doing my best. It's I don't know. I teach elementary special ed. So it's, like, a really unique position, and then, like, elementary special ed, but then in a day treatment psychiatric hospital, which makes the setting, like, unbelievably unique with variables constantly. So there's no, like, one direct route to knowing your ABCs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're getting, like, real creative with it. I don't know. It works well for my brain, but it's not for everybody. It works.
How long have you been at that job anyways?
Like a year now.
Does that feel like, are you coming up on a turning point, or does it feel like you're going strong? Is that hard to answer?
It's so hard to tell. So I've been there, I started there January last year. And it's first time as a teacher. And it, like, was expedited, like, crazy fast.
Oh, really?
So I came in as an EA in the high school classroom, like, just as an assistant. And came into, like, staffing crises galore, as you have in, like, every healthcare situation ever in life. And they were like, we need an elementary school teacher. And in New York, you need a master's to teach, right?
Oh.
And in Oregon, you need a bachelor's, and they're like, we'll pay for it, but can you, like, go do the thing because we fucking need it? So within 2 weeks in the high school room, they're like, do you want to just be the teacher in the elementary room? Because, like,
2 weeks?
2 weeks. And my, like, clinical experience was with, like, younger kids in inpatient peds. So they were like, yeah, you got it. And I was like, they were like, you've taught before, right? I was like, fucking guitar lessons and, like, on-the-fly ukulele, where I'm, like, playing ukulele for the first time next to a kid also playing ukulele for the first time.
Oh,
so it's, like, to an extent, I guess, but, like, contracted by the rich parents of the Central Oregon area to, like, preoccupy an hour so they can kick it. You know what I mean? Like, so no, I haven't, but, like, fucking sure. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
If you pay me well enough, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, like, significantly more than being an assistant. And it's, like, tough out here being poor. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
it really is. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to, like, and up until that point, I was just doing music shit. Okay. So it was like, and I don't know, you, like, well, you know, like, you get into the weeds with this shit for a while, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, health insurance sounds fucking cool. Like, yeah, like,
yes, it does.
So, and at that point, I was, like, turning 27, like, kicked off the folks' health insurance, so it was time to figure it out, and that schedule aligned beautifully with music stuff, because, like, paid summers off, so I can tour and play, I can travel and play shows, and not have to stress, like, every new market we hit coming back in the green, so I can come back to Bend and pay my rent. Like, I'm affording myself time to be able to do the thing for the right now until it tips, which is hopefully sooner than later. And it's getting exciting, you know, but it's like, for the right now, it's kind of everything I need it to be, but I'm just going to be tired of shit forever.
That
like,
makes sense, especially when you're doing, like, it feels like, especially in Bend, there's like, shows on weekdays, too, and, like, the jazz last night, right? You're, like, getting back from a Wednesday night session, and then you, like, have to work Thursday mornings.
Yeah, I was being a dumbass, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 6 to 8 gig, and I pull it here at 1 in the morning. Like,
I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to kick it.
Yeah.
And then, you know how that goes. Like, yeah. I roll into the cabin, and we're like, it's like 9 o'clock, and we're loaded out, like, pronto. I'm just like, oh, sick. This is going to be a good one. Like, I'm leaving at 10:30. I'll be in bed by 11:15. Like, sandwich in hand. We're in business. Like,
definitely not it.
1 o'clock comes around, and then by the time I'm settled in, it's 1:30, and then my alarm goes off at 6:30. It's like, here we go.
Show up for the kids.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man.
Yeah.
Just because in that setting too, especially, like, with behavioral health in general, like, they're already so on guard that, like, they're reading your body language to try to predict your behavior in a very subconscious manner, right? So it's like, if I'm not showing up, like, as the most positive version of myself, it gets picked up on quicker than you and I would notice someone's body language, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been doing this now for a minute. Like, shit got hectic over the summer, and it just kind of carried into my school schedule where, like, up until 2 weeks ago, I had something to do every day since May, music-wise.
Since May?
Since May. Either a rehearsal, gigging, or just like needing to shed shit. You know what I mean? Like, so I
That's
had
a lot of
radio
work.
silence like 2 weeks ago, and then Subtle kind of like kicked back off, and then we'll get hectic again in April, and then keep moving.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been doing the kind of what we just chatted about with the Subtle thing for like a good 6 months now. Just like living that way.
Yeah.
Like
Does
rock
it
and roll, I
feel?
guess. I don't
You
know.
and rock and roll, man.
Dude, I love it. I can't get enough of this stuff.
This is about rock and roll. It gets good.
It makes me giggle, dude. That's like how most of my life decisions are informed if I like breathe really hard on my nose. Like, you know what I mean?
Me too.
Like, yeah.
I feel like that's actually a pretty good way to like judge things. Like, am I laughing about it? Or who is it? Sam? Was it Sammy that said that? In his interview and all that? Was it?
Did Sammy interview? Oh, it was probably Sparky.
Or Sparky? Yeah. Where he was like, so I'm so bad with names.
You're good.
Uh,
We also have 9 names for everybody, which doesn't help anybody. Yeah.
And, like extra nicknames on the side, like AKAs. But
Yeah.
and he was like, if you're not having fun, like, why are you doing it?
Yeah,
know?
that was Betty.
And
That's a Betty quote.
yeah, it's like it feels so accurate to like all of it, and it's interesting because like it does seem like there's a balance where it's like, yeah, and you have to like pay your damn rent, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's so hard.
And I'm like, I'm slightly removed from like the band house thing. You know what I mean? Like, Hasbens guys, like, those are my buddies since I was young. I live near an airport. But yeah, so it's like, where was I going with that band house? So like, I've been kicking it with those guys for a decade. Like, I'm 28. Yeah.
And did y'all spend all 4 years in college together?
Me, Sammy, and Sparky did. T transferred in our sophomore year. Yeah.
Was that like, did y'all know pretty quickly that it would be a long-term thing, or like how did that start?
God no, fuck no.
Yeah.
Like Ben. When I met Ben, he'd been playing guitar 2 years, like, and I started playing electric guitar with those guys in college. Like I didn't have, you know what I mean?
Because you only played acoustic up to that point.
Yeah, it's just what I had. Like my dad plays, so like that was around the house, you know, and like had the like Christmas, like you get a good electric, like a knockoff Strat amp and a cable for $99.99. Like that happened one Christmas, but it didn't really take in the same way. But I was just into different music at that point, where like acoustic music was at the forefront, specifically like 12-string acoustic music out of nowhere, and that just happened to be what my dad played. So I just was like, oh, I have everything I need. And then got into college, and like the jam band thing caught me like into high school, and then like really caught fire for me like senior year, freshman year of college. And then electric guitar kind of became like the only thing. And Sammy was kind of the only one. Like I was gigging in high school a bit, and even a little bit before that, but like in very like coffee house capacities. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't anything nuts. School town shows. We played the pep rally one time. It was fucking hell. But I hated that sentence. But yeah, like outside of that, Sammy was the only one that was like really working. Like he played in Mambo Combo, which was like our college jazz band. But he was like he was a jazz guy that we had to like convince to play rock and roll.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Was he resistant to it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. No, like he was like would be like, yeah, like we'll solo, but like not for too long. And Benny and I were like, yeah, totally, yeah, for sure.
Just like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, ballpark, you know. So yeah, no, there was like, I think the beauty to what we have going on, and kind of the reason, like we were really good friends before we started playing music together, and we started playing music together because we were really good friends, you know. And I think that still translates in that band now. It's really special. We didn't just like kick it with the best people, you know what I mean? It was just like my favorite humans, and then there was a bit of like collectively like not like sucking until we didn't suck together. So like knowledge varied, like based on like I was in orchestras in high school and middle school and shit, and same with Ben Thompson played like tuba and chamber orchestra. Like so people have like different, yeah, totally. So like we have different musical backgrounds, but like not in the way I think it's perceived now, or not what folks would necessarily expect. Like I was like,
yeah, I would not expect like a tuba to be anywhere near the mix.
and I was just like cranking violin, like you know.
It's so cool.
That's just kind of what it was. And then there was like classical piano there when I was a kid and stuff. But yeah, there's a real beauty to like sucking until you don't. And then, but like through that period, we had a group of friends. Like our whole community in college was incredible. Like still people that come out. You
As
know?
far as like music goes, or like the support around it.
Just like our friend.
Yeah.
Because it started where it was like we want to like play house parties, so therefore we need to throw the house party, and that's kind of how it started. It was just like learning cover songs to play parties that we wanted to put on, and then senior year we got into playing the bar. This spot called the Monopole in Plattsburgh, like way upstate New York, like 40 minutes south of Montreal.
Oh yeah.
Up there.
Whoa, that's far out. Yeah.
We were like right on the lake. Straight across the lake would be like Burlington.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's really out there.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the first time we played the bar was the day before our Christmas break, senior year, and they had like an open mic we would frequent and stuff, but it was like $3 pitchers of Rolling Rock. Like it's sloppy business, you know. Yeah,
Been there.
Yeah, it wasn't not proper rock. It was pretty rock and roll, but like yeah, skip it. But yeah, so that kind of happened. By the time after that one, because that was the first time someone like paid us to like play a bar, and like we packed it out because we just have friends and we're in college, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was enough to be like, oh shit, like we're on now, like. But and I think like the key is to not lose that feeling. Like when everything you do is that exciting, why would you ever stop doing it? You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
Yeah. So, and I really think we just kind of carried that into now with a quick breather during COVID. You know, because you couldn't do the thing.
You could do the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a piece, it's a bit of a cheat, but like part of it, I know obviously, like folks that are listening don't, like y'all's decision to move out here collectively was for like the pursuit of music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we were all living together. Like when we graduated, we got a house in Saranac Lake, New York, which is like 40 minutes from Plattsburgh, just outside of Lake Placid. They had Olympics there. It was pretty cool.
Placid.
It's a cool place, yeah. Nice. That's rad. You know about that.
We used to go ski up there, my like high school, middle school. I don't know.
Right on, Whiteface.
Yeah, we could ski up there.
So that's where we got like season passes through the college to go ride when we were at school. That was like 40 minutes from us.
Sweet. It's nice and icy, but it's good.
Yeah. Ice space is real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like graduated like with the intention of doing the music, like, and at that point we're like gigging more and trying to do the thing. And then while we were living in that house, I had like just graduated and COVID hit and you couldn't gig, and that's like kind of the only way to like make money. You know what I mean? Like
until you're like making it.
At that time, yeah, absolutely. Because it's like if you think about like the way streaming has shifted, it's like your recorded material isn't your revenue stream; it's your advertising budget. You know what I mean? Like, so to then flip T-shirts and play rock and roll, like that's kind of the way you got to do it. And that wasn't an option. So our two really good friends, Ryan and Elise, straight from college, moved to Bend on a destination whim. Like it was like Montana. I think it was somewhere in Montana or Bend, but like via Google. It's not like they've been out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then so they moved out here. Sammy is really good friends with Ryan. He was like the best. They just got married this past summer. He was like the best man at the wedding. So in that like COVID fuck, what do we do with ourselves? Sam moved to Bend to crash on their couch just to do something else, you know?
And at that point they were like enjoying it.
Yeah. Like I think they were in a spot where it was like 22-year-old couple moves across the country, doesn't have any sense of community, so the idea of a homie on the couch was like inviting for the first time ever.
I guess because it's also COVID, right? Like they also moved to a new place.
Yeah, absolutely. And like didn't really know anybody, so then it was just them in an apartment. So bring the friends, you know? And kind of, you were able to gig in Bend before you were in New York. So Sammy booked a run of 5 shows, and like we took vacation time and like flew out and played music. This is sick! Like, fell in love with the place, but also the way music is received out here is very different than the East Coast. At least in the jam world. It's much less like, show me what you got, kid. And like, let's see if you can outperform the person I've dedicated 40 years of my life to travel around the country to see.
Especially for the jam band, like so.
Absolutely, man. There's like 2 names that come to mind, and it's like we're gonna immediately apples to orange you with that guy, and it's like I'm 22 and I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, And then you come out here and like people are just, and I do think a big part of it was the timeliness of like, we might have been the first live music folks got to see post shutdown, you know? But it felt like it was picking up steam out here in a week more than it did in like almost 2 years back east. Maybe less, year and a half. I don't know, timeline blurs a bit. So we were like, oh man, like, and it's like, we're at that point 23, 24, like, it was time to do something.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't trying to settle into working at the hospital for the rest of my life for $17 an hour. Like,
You weren't?
no, not forever. For the right now, it was pretty cool, but like, and it wasn't even that cool, you know? Like,
Not as cool as rock and roll.
no, rock and roll's pretty fucking sick. Nice.
You gotta slide it in.
Yeah, where you get it. Oh man. So yeah, just Destination moved it. There was another run of shows after that, and then it was like that was kind of the one where we were like, oh yeah, this is a thing. Like the first one wasn't a fluke. And granted, it was downsized compared to what things look like now, but like at that time, that was everything. You know what I mean? Packing out the old Bunkin Brew. How you doing? Like,
Come on now.
yeah, come on now. Yeah, it was fucking cool. And yeah, we all moved out here. There were, including Ryan and Elise, in a renovated box truck that they built as like a camper. They were in the driveway. There were 8 of us in a 3-bedroom. Sparky and I had like, we took over the master suite. And like, it's kind of funny too, because like this dude was my sophomore year college roommate when we were twin XLs right next to each other. Like could like do one of these and hit him, you know? And then we're like, fast forward a couple of years later, we're in like, we have our own bathroom off the bedroom, walk-in closet. It's just 2 queen beds parked next to each other.
You can still do the high five.
Yeah, man. And like, you can, yeah, it was pretty cool. Lots of high fiving went down. But yeah, like that's kind of been, that was the lifestyle for a very long time, which kind of makes the serenity of this space and having it kind of just be for me really beautiful.
And you've been here, it's been like not even a year?
When did I move in?
Was it the beginning of the summer?
Yeah, I think I moved in June,
Yeah.
like mid-June.
How has that been? Because like going from many people to few people
Yeah.
is significant.
And wild life changes. Like,
yeah.
yeah. No, I was kind of went from living with everybody to living with like some of the crew and the person I was with for a really long time. And then that didn't work out after a while. So that then led to this place becoming available. In a wild coincidence, like 3 days after that situation ended, a good friend of mine, who I won't name, but she lived here, and yeah, like I remember coming over one time and being like, man, if it were ever just me, like I could totally make this space work. But in a like, there was no intention behind that statement. It was more of a like, oh, I could see how people live in a close quartered kind of space. Like I understand the tiny home thing now, having like seen someone like lay it out properly. And then 3 days after that situation ended, I get a random text from her being like, hey, do you know anyone that would be down to like rent a tiny home? I gotta move back to Idaho. And I was like, me? How much is it? And it's half the price of a studio apartment in Bend. And I'm just like, yeah, stick me in the middle of nowhere with just about nothing but guitars, and allow that to be like a space that like encourages creativity in the midst of what felt like my life fucking plummeted. And I don't know, man. There's like, there's a like the imposition of limitations, especially if you're coming from a creative space, is just fucking gorgeous. Like I love the idea of like I'm in a contained space surrounded by raw wood, and all I have to do is either make music without the pressure on it, but like if that's all you have around you, you're probably going to create, and it's done just that. Like, and then couple that with the first summer, like paid summer off I had as a teacher, like at the same time, and I just had 3 months, a bunch of cash, a bunch of shows to just be a guitar player, and that's how I settled into this space, kind of like living the way I live now.
So cool. How many hours do you think you played, like in a given week?
That summer, it depended on how much I was traveling. There was one full week where I was just here, and I played 8 hours at least. Like some were 10. There was a 12-hour. I was also like, you know, when you're going through some shit and you're just like obsessed and distracted, keep it pushing. Like, yeah. It was definitely one of those. But like, yeah, I wrote 13 songs in 7 days, and it, like completed ideas.
Right.
I can write scattered and like have bits and pieces, and I do really believe in like if you have a piece that you feel like is bulletproof, but then the rest of the thing doesn't stack up, keep the thing, scrap it, and come back around another day. But I was just like finishing thoughts for a week.
And songs you would play today?
Huh?
Are those songs ones you play now?
Yeah, a few of them. Some of them make it. Not everything fits in the world of Hasbens or the world of modern music necessarily. Those are kind of like the two main things I think about from a writing standpoint. There's an aesthetic to those things. There is a sound, there is an intention, and for both of those projects, I'm lucky enough. Like live music is my favorite. Like playing live is why I do the thing. I enjoy the recording process a whole lot, but it's a different exercise. You know what I mean?
Because for what reasons?
There's a thing that happens when you play live, and when you do it live, it happens more often than not. When like some days you show up and you are on par with your ability, right? And then there are some days where like the moment and the environment and the crowd and just like it feels different. Where you'll just have moments like whether it's adrenaline, whether it's like presence, whether it's honesty, I don't really know. But you're able to surpass your ability in like these really beautiful moments. That are addicting as fuck, where like to me the studio environment is the stripped back, polished, sterile under the microscope. Like there is a different attention to detail. It's like carefree versus meticulous.
Right.
Both can result in like some really incredible shit, but they're just different. You know what I mean? It's a different part of my brain.
Oh, interesting. I guess it makes sense because right, like in a studio, you're trying to make something fit a track that can be played like many times over.
Yeah.
Very intentionally. Like you're writing the part.
Especially when you improvise the way you do. Like the last thing I want a studio record to be from like a Hasbens, for example, is like a diet live record.
Totally.
Because what's the point? Put out a fucking live record.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like
diet live record.
No, seriously though.
I've never heard that term. It's good.
Yeah, because but that like. The way we work, at least in Hasbens, is we'll play shit live for like a year before it gets recorded. Or in this case, this next record is like shit that we've been road testing for like half of it. It's been shit we've been road testing for like 2 years. Like it's been in rotation.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's almost a reduction process to figure out like what makes this song like what makes a song work in a studio environment isn't always the thing that makes it feel as great as it does in a live. I think the intention that you're listening with when you extract the function, you know what I mean, from the performance, then you're just left with what makes the song a good song for your car or your headphone. It's in those songs work differently. It's not like because we're taking a step back and paring it down in that way for a studio session. Like it doesn't mean we're changing anything about the live performance. But you do have to recalculate some things for it to function in both places.
That makes, I guess, because so much of performing, like it's interesting. I feel like live performances do get away with like more, I guess what some you would consider kind of a mistake, but it's more just like a unique experience at a night because you can like see what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to think about like how does the song performed live is not necessarily a song you want to listen to over and over again in the car.
Totally. And like if I'm like maybe I don't know if there are any solos on the new Hasbens album that I played live. They're all overdone. So it's like you're eliminating the conversation that happens live, but you're still trying to keep the essence of that in the take.
Right.
Which is like the attention to detail needs to really be there for it to function in both spaces. Where live, I'm just talking to my friends. You know what I mean? Or to the people. Or to like my homie Brady that's usually right in front of me. Like and grinning at me and like dancing hard. Like I'm gauging shit off body language, what's coming out, versus like what is the concise idea. But so it's less improvisation and it's more like the same approach I take to songwriting I take to guitar solos. They mean a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like growing up on Pink Floyd records. It's like David Gilmour solos, you can sing. Like, I want the studio cuts to be those kind of leads. But in a live setting, I just want to be able to express myself on that. And they're different things. You know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe.
Well, because, yeah, it's because you're on stage in front. There's a piece that you're giving to an audience.
Yeah. It's performing versus documenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, granted, like, I'm pulling from live versions to, like, get my favorite parts of, like, live solos to then arrange a studio solo. But I'm, like, trying to document myself as a player on that song in this moment in time versus live that is to the moment of whatever fuck's happening there.
Yeah.
It's
like a timestamp in some
100%.
Yeah.
That's how I see albums of ours.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't understand why people do the thing of, like, oh, don't listen to our old shit sucks. It's like, no, your old shit is an authentic representation of where you're at now, and you should think it sucks, because hopefully you've gotten better. Like, but don't go to the extent of discrediting your own art, because you're just shooting yourself in the fucking foot. Like, it makes no sense to me.
It's interesting, because I feel the same about, I wouldn't say a lot of the content that I put out, I wouldn't say is, like, incredible. Like, this, I think if I were to critique it harshly, rather, because I say that about my stuff, like, oh, that's exactly the product that I can make right now.
Yeah.
And therefore the world sees it, and people like it, like, then they like where I'm at right now, like, that's cool. And it's interesting, because I think about that a lot, of, like, if I were to not put it out just because it's not to a certain, like, excellent standard, I think I would really struggle to put out, like, anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you believe in yourself more than anybody else. So, you're gonna not? That's crazy to me. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts to me. Like, you have to keep the almost, like, oblivious, almost, like, nutcase MO of, like, this is gonna work. Because the second you start, like, hedging plan B, like, that's when you don't, I don't know, that's when you lose the enthusiasm for it.
Do you feel like that plays, because when you were talking about, like, tiny home, you basically, like, plug and play, like, your setup is so streamlined, you, like, flip your amp on,
Yeah.
and you, like, can play.
I'm a switch away from having a sound up.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's similar with, like, how to get good at something, almost?
It's not for everybody.
Not having options.
I'm a crazy person. Like, that's, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I have made the conscious decision to fully immerse myself in one thing. That can be maddening as fuck. You know? But I love it more than anything. So therefore, that's the way I want to spend all my time, whether it's, like, counterproductive or borderline unhealthy. I don't know. I think I'm, like, I don't know how to be a well-rounded person, as fucked up as that sounds, because I'm so tunnel-visioned on one thing, and it makes me feel everything that I think, well, I don't want to put words, like, we're getting ambiguous, we don't got to do that. But, like, that one experience makes me feel all facets of this existence that I want to feel. So why not see that as properly through as I can? But that's the way I feel. Like, I wouldn't recommend, like, I want to be in a band, like, oh yeah, get a wooden box, buy nothing else, maybe a coffee pot.
Maybe.
You maybe, you know? That's all I got. And, yeah, immerse yourself in the shit and just make stuff. Like, that's not for everybody. And it's not even, like, maybe a great way to do it, but if I have one option, I'm probably going to do one thing. And I want to do the one thing all the time for everything I just said, you know?
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I relate to that, like, so much. It's funny. I don't know how many people can really do it in the same way, but I think it was, like, yeah, maybe a year and a half ago, I kind of just came to this conclusion. I was like, okay, well, why don't I just spend as much time as possible doing, like, and I was like, because I have been a generalist and done, like, a lot of, I've learned, like, horizontally, and so I have, like, a really large skill set in a lot of different things, but, like, no depth, and I was like, let's try depth.
Learned horizontally.
You know?
Like that.
Yeah. And so I was like, let's go vertically for a while, and
Yeah.
it was interesting because, like, the past year and a half, I was like, okay, all I'm gonna do in the same kind of realm, I was like, I'm gonna play music, and I'm gonna, like, do, like, photo, video stuff, and that was, like, this is, like, my new limitation. And it's really interesting because for the first time, like diving deeply into like any aspect, not only have I like been able to actually see like this really intentional growth in the like skill set itself, but just like as a person, I feel like I've learned so much because it has forced me to stay with it in so many moments that I desperately wanted to not, you know?
Now, do you feel like tracking your own growth is like fucking impossible?
Oh, it feels, yeah, there's just moments where someone will say, like, they'll give me some feedback, and then I'll realize, I'm like, oh, right, I absolutely couldn't do that a year ago.
Totally. That's the double-edged sword of kind of living the way we do with this. Like, it's way easier to get discouraged because you've gone all in on something, but because you're so immersed in it constantly, it makes tracking your progress not realistic. Like, outside of like receiving positive feedback, but like that didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Totally,
like,
yeah.
So what are you really going to do with that?
How has
I appreciate it. Keep it coming. I need it more than you realize. But
wait. Oh my God, I'm really intrigued by that because it's funny. I feel like because you can only see it when someone holds a mirror to yourself, right? How has because I feel like when I first met you, you're pretty ripping. Do you feel like you've progressed significantly in the past year?
Yeah.
How so? In like what ways? Which is epic.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm in a space right now where on a good night, which I'm in a space right now where I can get most thoughts out of my hands in real time. I couldn't do that before. And when you're improvising that much, like, to be able to, like, sing something in your head and have it come out of your hands in real time is, like, a thing I couldn't do. You were kind of relying on the party tracks, right? And now it's more of a, whether that's, like, your super speedy trend picking to, like, build and be like, feel something. But, like, turns out that's not how that shit works. But if you punctuate with the party tricks, then you're really, like, cool licks. Like, function as just kind of interlocking pieces to continue the narrative. But like when you start operating this way, you're just thinking melodically, and then you're just like play what you can sing, play melodies, and then if you want to create motion, use something faster to create that trajectory. But I'm no longer limited to just the things I know. You know what I mean? Like physically and facility wise. Now my only limitation is what can I think of, which is a cool space to be in.
That is sick. How do you like find new things? Because there's a synthesis of information, right? So are you like listening to other music, like hearing what people do, or like just like totally messing around on your guitar and then like coming across?
I don't really listen to music like that.
Yeah.
I should. I listen to 2 bands. Like I listen to Fish a lot. And I listen to Goose, you know, like, I haven't missed a show since Peter joined the band, and it's like, I don't watch TV, I follow Goose tours on Nugs, like, I'm a fucking nerd.
That's awesome.
But it's like, that's kind of the extent of it. And it, like, at first it was very much so from, like, pull influence, and now that's just, like, my version of enjoyment. That's, like, the closest I get to sports. You know what I mean? It's for real. Like, yeah Goose tours, sports for me.
It's pretty athletic, if you ask me.
Yeah. No, it's improvising. I'll start the day with a 1 to 4, usually like a C to F, and then just play melodies, but like play one note and let it hang, and then see where my brain goes in a slower capacity, and then just like respond, and then slowly like pick up. But it's like with the intention of not relying on shit I already know how to play, just getting the thoughts to hands.
So it's like you CF, and then it's like, okay, what note do I want to hear next?
Yeah, and then make it happen.
Yeah.
And then slowly add more notes. And yeah, just kind of go from there.
Keep repeating.
Yeah, but I do that a lot. Like, I don't know, I love improvising. That's when I feel most like myself, in the most emotive and the most expressive. Especially in a slow down capacity. There's like, I don't know, I love the idea of just like responding honestly to the last note you played to me is way more interesting than punctuating, or than just like running. party tricks, you know? Like, there's a time and place.
It's interesting because it, like, it's really interesting because I see, like, music seems like, and especially, like, improvised music, it seems like one of the most, like, raw forms of communication that exists because of how quick it is.
Yeah.
And, like, I guess I only see it from the, like, because I can't improvise, like, well, you know, at all.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, like, I would love to know, like, what that experience is more so, and, like, how that, like, live communication.
Oh, man.
Thought, you know?
Yeah. I really just think it comes with, like, time with a group of people. Like, because you have to understand how people's brains light up and, like, what they're communicating to you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I know everybody's flavor for the most part. And the jazz stuff has been like, kicking ass. I think to, like, follow up on the idea of, like, building out vocabulary, like, I've been being like I don't listen to a lot of shit can be, like, a little pretentious, and I don't mean it that way. It's more like I've been lucky enough to, like, just get to stand next to everybody whose flavor I want to understand. More so recently. On a local level, not, like, national.
Totally.
But, like, I've made so many good friends in town that are also fucked up talented, and they invite me to come play with them, which is cool. So it's like, if I want to go, like, understand the classic, like, blues rock thing, I'm gonna go kick it with Eric Ledbetter. If I want to understand, like, a master class in arrangement, I'm gonna go kick it with Travis Ernstrom and Ken. That band's out of control. Yeah, like, if I wanted to add a jazz flavor to my jam bandy soup, so I went and kicked it with the Wilkins guys, and now I hang out there pretty often, which led to the Mama's one, which is, like, a cool, like, funk hip hop party, which is, like, another fun flavor to add. Like, again, Travis, kind man. It's like, I got really into folky bluegrass shit, and I did an acoustic trio with Connor Bennett on it. Like, man, me too. He's the coolest. Yeah, or even just, like, with the dive bar stuff, like, not doing that anymore, but just understanding how, like, a wedding band functions is an education within itself, like, how to pace that kind of shit. And I do think, like, it's all with the intention of putting on a show. But,
and understanding, like, the audience that you're playing to, because it seems like all of those groups have such different, for the most part, like, different folks that are, like, the diehard fans aren't really the same.
Yeah, wait. But I think that's only helped me personally, in, like, somewhat of a self-serving way. But I'm also, like, a pretty strong believer in nothing happens by accident. You know what I mean? Like, the reason I know the people I know and I'm friendly and I get to, like, have musical interactions with all these people, even, like, when I was doing the Biscuit Brigade thing, like, just that was just a masterclass in, like, go improvise and make it count. And kind of to the melodic point, that was the way I see for the last year. That was kind of like the tipping point in me finding my voice to then enter that instrument. And then it was just like, add spice, you know.
Spicy choice.
Yeah, but everything works differently. But also, if your intention is to build a personal brand that runs in tandem with anything you're working within, which was kind of mine. Like, I want to be as recognizable as a guitar player singularly as I do as the guitar player in that band. And the only way to do that is go kick it with everybody. And I think that's one thing that's a little bit lost on folks, especially with social media, right? Like, you view your presentation of your craft through a screen, and people forget the, like, man, I really want to learn to, like, play jazz properly. It's, don't go on YouTube and look up, like, how do I play over, like, a 2-5-1? Like, go find the people in your town that play that style really well and be like, can I please hang out and suck until you don't?
Yeah.
Like, it's the only way to do it, in my opinion. Like, if your end goal is the live thing, right? Like, for me, it's all about playing. If your end goal is to, like, be a studio guy, it's rad. Like, it just depends on what you want out of the thing. There isn't, like, I don't mean to get sermony on, like, how to do the thing. That's not my job. But for me, that's, I need the interaction, and I want to stand next to you. And I, in a kind of like a shiesty, bitter East Coast mentality, like, I want to play one-on-one.
Totally,
like, come on, let's go.
Well, it's so interesting because, like, it's wild because I think about social media a lot. Like, my whole business like, or my reputation in business is built off of it. But so much of what I learned happened like in real time with people, and it's interesting because I do think that like we get caught up in like this land of online stuff where you almost lose the reminder that learning happens so much faster in person.
Yes.
And like
1,000,000%.
even if you're trying to be a studio guy, like going to the studio and learning from a studio guy that like knows his stuff is probably going to be more effective than YouTube.
Yeah. A proficient musician and a studio guy are two different jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's an environmental thing, and there's an external stimuli thing, and there's all of the things that can happen in the in-between where it's like, you can go to music school, right? And then you want to be a session guy at a music school, but you've only been a music school student, you've never been a session guy.
Right.
It's not A to B, you know what I mean? Like, we're starting from scratch here.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of, like, just being able to pop in. Like, I feel very fortunate. Like, I moved to a place where I have the community I always wanted.
Absolutely.
Musically, this doesn't happen back east. It's very hyper-territorial. People aren't sharing bills, and then you move to Bend, and it's like rising tides bring all ships up in an unbelievably beautiful way. And the people are cool, and they can play.
What?
Like, they're just kind. Like, it's really crazy. Like, I'm really happy to be here. Like,
That's what's up.
yeah.
I know it is cool because I was like, oh, it's interesting because you say you'd only listen to two bands, but you play so frequently with such a variety of people that have such caliber that it's interesting because it seems like the genre like diving that you're doing like isn't through like a streaming service. It's like you're actually in the studio with enough people that have enough variety.
Yeah, or in a live setting where I need to shed their tunes to be able to show out in the way I hope to.
Right.
There was like a fucked up period in my life a couple months ago for like a good chunk where the only thing I was listening to was shit to learn. But even like from going to do New Year's with Ledbetter to then turning around and doing a dive bar thing, it's like I'm going from like a la Zeppelin Hendrix to like Taylor Swift covers, and it's like there is a value in understanding how those function mechanically in a live setting. And take little bits and pieces. I'm not going to be covering Taylor Swift anytime soon, but it's like, it's not really my thing. I listen to two bands. But yeah, there's a value to like recognizing what lights up a crowd and then channeling that intention and that feeling into the thing you're creating, not necessarily trying to create another version of that thing that functioned that way.
Do you see any through lines like throughout genres?
Through lines throughout genres.
Like if it's Taylor Swift or it's like a rip and rock and roll song, like to get the crowd engaged.
Ooh, that's a good question. Dynamics. There's a dynamic shift from verse one that kind of like lifts and plateaus into a first chorus, but a first chorus is like relatively diluted compared to a second chorus. It's the arc, right?
Yeah.
And you want like, if we're like kind of on our way up through verse one, chorus one, verse two, chorus two. Usually a bridge will be a dip in energy, but it will introduce something interesting that only comes around once. That's like a selling point to then smoke a final chorus twice around.
Totally.
And then you're out, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the mechanics of songwriting and all of those capacities are really cool. But then like the way a pop vocal functions in like an intro that might just be kind of riffy is almost the same way as like a guitar riff functions as an intro that like can start things on an exciting. It depends on how you want to get into it.
Right. And in saying like it's like whatever's taking the interest is whatever's in the highest frequency, basically.
Like pitch-wise?
Pitch-wise, yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, totally.
Or to some degree. I guess I relate to that between like if it's like a saxophone or a lead guitar or a vocal.
Mm.
That if you've ever been somewhere where all three of those are happening at the same time, it can be a bit much. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Space is the place. Dude. Like that, I've really learned that in arranging over the last year of just like when in doubt, lay out. Like, and I do think for musicians that are like just getting into the thing, there is. You hear the like divorce from ego term get thrown around all the time. And it's not something you just like, oh, I'm going to do that today. That's not how that works. But I think you have to be comfortable enough in your own skin and within your own ability to play your role and stay in your lane proficiently, instead of feeling like I need to occupy space. Like there's a difference to that, and there's a maturity that comes with that. But like, you need to be the guy that wants to take up all the space all the time in order to arrive there. Because if you weren't that guy, you wouldn't get there.
Ooh, interesting. Because of why is that? Yeah.
It's just the trajectory, man. Like you kind of like.
Feels like a wise man.
You don't. Yeah, thanks. You just like you don't know shit until you do.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to like learn in real time. That isn't like everyone knows you're supposed to leave space,
Right.
but like leaving space to be complementary, like sure, but like in application, especially in like mainly improvisational settings, like that's a muscle. Like you have to be so comfortable in that chaos and unknown
Right.
to be able to like lead somebody into something to then kind of back up, or to know when it's time to like ease in and step out, or to just punch hard. Like, but don't like you don't want to come in boiling lava hot off the rip. Like, yeah, it's just you got to learn how to play nicely with others, like when you were 6.
Totally. Yeah.
But in a way different language.
It's so interesting because I guess it's the concept of like you're gonna be pretty bad at it until you're not anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and you have I guess the willingness to like not know how to leave space is what allows you to eventually learn how to give space, because you'll play a little bit too loud sometime, and you'll realize with like whatever awareness you build, you're like, oh, I came in a little too hot right there.
Totally. And it's all of those things we're talking about, like having control over all of those nuances has to be learned in like real-time application. Like, yeah, tonal dynamics alone, not even just volume. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like the type of sound I want to bring to this particular moment. Like, you just have to do it. There's no like, you can like look up like pedal tutorial videos, sound in the arsenal for like maybe this spot, but you won't know where that fits seamlessly, because when you're like down the rabbit hole, you have a very romanticized, bite-sized version of like that application, right?
And can you do it live, right?
Yeah, and does it play? Like
Right.
there's so many so many things. I think a big part of it, honestly, is like I'll write for myself, Mama's Boy, Hasbens. Like I'll write a bunch of that music, and it took me forever to notice like when I'm writing with just myself and a guitar, right? So I am the melodic instrument, the rhythmic instrument, and the percussive element, all in one. So the way I wrote the song is already not formulated to fit a band sound.
Oh, interesting.
Because you're occupying all the space.
Right.
Or else it's going to feel weird with you just sitting there.
Yeah.
And then you bring it into like a band setting, and then micromanage all of the little nuances to try to mimic what you're doing with just yourself and a guitar, and that doesn't work. So I found like writing simpler parts to then allow everybody to like spread and offer their character and their flavor and their voice around a common theme is a way better approach to songwriting than coming in with the polished thing that we need executed perfectly, and I'm going to be the commander-in-chief on it. There's still a couple tunes for it. But like, you know, but like...
But it has to be a certain way.
Yeah, more recent. And that's just like... I think you got to play live. Also, playing live is like intoxicating in a crazy way, where you can have a false sense of reality of how good it was because of how much fun you're having, right?
Totally.
But then you got to listen back after a couple days once you come down and be critical about the arrangement and realize like you don't need two guitars doing the same thing. You know, there's no need. Yeah, those are the chords, those are the parts. But right now we're two people doing the job of one person. Spread. How can I be complimentary to if you're already doing that? And yes, that's the thing I wrote. You're doing it perfectly. I can no longer play that.
So you almost have to like do less.
Big time. It's a reduction process like unanimously. But you have to be down for that. Like, no one's like, you don't start a band with your buddies to go on like long improvisational jags to be like, I'm going to lay out. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But you do it till you don't, and that is pretty cool.
No, that is neat. It's interesting because it seems like that's like I think about a lot when it's like a really good acoustic, like just singer-songwriter, acoustic and vocal, like skeleton.
Yeah.
Can so easily be like, or not easily, can in such incredible ways be brought to a band in ways that complement it. And there's something about like a really stripped acoustic song, like just the skeleton of a song that like you hear it and you know that it's gonna be just like such a bop.
Yeah, if you have a song like that fills that amount of space, when it's just you sitting and playing it, it doesn't need anything else. I like hanging out with people though, so like I write differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a different muscle, but I totally know what you mean. Where it's like, yeah, let's not like overcook the thing. Like if it's an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and that's everything it needs to be, you have the tune.
Right.
You know.
But if you can add pieces to it, have a little more fun.
You can,
you know.
but the additive versus overcooked gets blurred real fast. Yeah. So definitely try to write with. I write now from a place of envisioning what everybody's going to be doing, and sometimes going to the extent of writing those parts. Yeah. but they're complementary. Like I'm no longer writing two guitar parts that are like doing the same thing, maybe even just like different voicings. It's like two complementary parts that are additive to the big picture instead of just the chords being the song. Or else, like, yeah, just go play acoustic guitar and sing your tunes. Like, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just depends what you want.
Yeah, and it's a different like style of music. It's cool too because I'm like, yeah, I'm curious. Like, have you ever? I'm sure it's happened. Like, where you bring something to someone and you have the idea of what you want them to play, and then they're like, no. What about this?
Do I ever do that, or do they?
Do they do that? Anyone like you play with? Like to challenge?
Yeah. Well, I stopped coming in like that.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time, not in that direct of a way. Where like, I'll intentionally not tell anybody what to play and just see how they fall in, and then maybe or direct from there or orchestrate. But like, I'm surrounded by really talented people. Like they can think for themselves. Yeah. I don't play bass. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I can think I know what's best for everything, but the quicker you realize you don't, you end up coming up with better stuff. So I tend to like nowadays I'll like bring a song to a group that's like just my part, how I envision what I will be doing here, and then let everybody else fall in, and then just play it a couple times around if it's simple, or just like work a section if it's a little more involved, and then. Usually, Sammy's great at it. I fucking love working with Sammy. Where it's like, he'll play something and be like, what do you think about this? And then he'll give me options. And then it's like, usually it's an amalgamation of the two things he's thrown out is what I had in my head. But if he arrives there on his own, he's taking ownership over his part, which collectively makes us all more emotionally invested in the thing we're creating together, instead of me bringing something to the table and orchestrating my dear friends like session musicians, because that's not the stuff, you know.
Especially for the kind of bands that you play in general, it does become like more free flow in that. God, it's so cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It helps that I'm surrounded by lovely, lovely men. You know.
I know, such kind folks.
Yeah, good people.
It's so interesting how like location switching and also just like the culture of out here, timing. Like there's so many factors that played into it to like be sitting where you are now.
None of which are predictable.
Why? Yeah, I don't.
Zero.
Would you have expected any of this? Yeah.
But guitar, hopefully. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't gonna stop doing that.
Right.
But like, no. Like the way my life looks now is both. I had a thought the other night. I was like, I don't have room for a full-size couch, so I'm laying on a love seat with like the other arm like buckling my knees, and I'm losing feeling in my feet, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there, and I'm like, this was, yeah. I'm watching the Goose Stream, and I just like look around me. And it's like, got prints up on the wall, all from Goose shows and Fish shows and other various insert can band name here shows I've been to. Watching the Goose Stream. There's a bong and a pack of American Spirit Light Blue on the countertop. There's a coffee pot, and I'm surrounded by 3 guitars, all of which individually are exponentially more than my round. And there's a Subaru with a roof rack parked up. And like, just kind of like had a thought to myself. It's like, oh, this fucking checks out. Like, like this is, I don't know. Like it makes sense, but. you know, like, you have aspirations, but, like, you've done this shit long enough. Like, nothing ever unfolds the way you expected it to. So after a while, you just stop having expectations for shit, and you just start doing stuff. You know what I mean? And, like, I think things start to come your way in a really gorgeous manner when you stop putting the expectation that the thing you're doing is going to give you something in return, and you're just doing things. I just spend my time doing stuff, and I try. The expectation thing is hard. Like, it's easy to say, you know what I mean?
It's
but, like,
so hard to do.
I'm not going on a gig being like, well, I hope this, without a thought of, like, how attendance is or what sales are looking like pre-sale. Like, those are realities, right? Or, like, what promoter is here and who's touring manager happens. You know, like, that happens. But I've stopped going into those situations being like, oh, we have this cool opportunity and there happens to be someone in the room that might be able to potentially do something for us. But, like, that guy's just also doing stuff. Like, he's not thinking about me like that or my friends like that. So you just keep showing up, you know? Removing expectation from the things you're doing is so fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, like, pursuing a career in something that by default needs validation at large and, like, sprawlingly so, for you to be able to eat just doing the thing you want to do. It's fucking dicey, man. Like, it's easy to lose yourself.
Absolutely. It's interesting to the expectations thing. Like, this is so random. I DJ'd I don't know if you know this, I DJ'd a house party on Saturday night.
So, it's fucking cool.
It's pretty sick. And it was fascinating because I, like, didn't ever expect myself to do that, you know? And at the same time, it feels like it's interesting, like, the more that I'm doing stuff because I, like, want to do it and seeing, like, the different ways that it can lead me to, like, these variations of success, but, like, not an expectation of success, where it's like it opens doing the thing and then it opening an opportunity. There are so many projects that I've done that I'm like, I had no idea that A, that would go well, and B, that, like, it would land me, you know, in a different room with a different person, just, like, as a friend, you know, and then eventually we do a project together, whatever it is. And it's really interesting because I feel like that's only come over time, kind of what you're saying, where it's, like, letting go of it and just kind of trusting that putting stuff out into the world, or in, like, your case, like, going out and just playing shows and, like, actually having a good time, or as good of a time you can have, like, it just eventually adds up to something.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just, like, enjoying the experience presently. And then it's just fun the whole time.
Yeah, people love it.
You can think about it after. I get what you mean. I'm doing this thing at the end of the month where I'm playing an acoustic show with just me telling stories and singing songs with an acoustic guitar, with acoustic piano accompaniment and another vocalist. And it's like, getting to a space where, like, that's a thing I'm going to do. It was like, that wasn't premeditated or a direction. Like, I'm, like, the solo we play a lot of fancy shit gang. Like, the idea of stripping it back to that degree is, like, super intimidating, but it's just, like, another cool thing I get to do. And it'll be cool for, like, the uniqueness of the experience. Like, I'm not going into it with the intention of, like, man, I hope whoever, like, is in the audience, like, is praying I'm in the corner at their next reservation dinner. You know what I mean? It's just, like, I've done the single note thing. I've been the solo guy, like, guitar solo guy. At least that's the way I see myself, and I feel like what I do is perceived. And I feel like the human element of it can get lost, because I think a lot of people don't realize, like, Hasbens lyrics are mine. I'm just not singing them.
Mostly?
Not all of, like, a good amount.
Yeah.
Everybody writes, you know. But when you don't have to be the mouthpiece delivering something that might be hyper vulnerable to you, it's like you're being 50% vulnerable, but with, like, fucked up high stakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this setting, it was more like, I feel like the human of, like, me as a person can get lost in the pyrotechnics and the way I'm perceived on a public level.
Right.
So I wanted to just go, like, play tunes and tell stories about the shit I've written, and maybe sing the stuff that I don't sing in other contexts, but are still, like, words that I, like, shit that came out of my head.
And I'm assuming too, to get to that place, like, every step that you've taken in, like, playing with different people, like, writing but having other people sing it, has, like, helped get you to the place where you can, like, move into that. like solo again? Does that make
Maybe,
sense?
yeah, no, it makes total sense. I don't think I'm thinking about it that much.
Yeah.
Like I know, I have an intention for it, but I don't think I needed to like build my confidence in the way that it looks now to be able to arrive at that place. I think it's just like a logical next step of like a cool thing I get to do, and why would I say no to it? Because it's like it'll be cool. Like,
Yeah.
no, I think like it's not like I'm writing shit for other people to sing because I feel like I need to hide from the things I wrote. It's more I love the angle of like Sparky can just do shit vocally, I can't, and
Otherwise, yeah.
I can write to that timbre and cadence that he does really well, which I can't deliver in the same way that he can. But there's still things I wrote, but they're honest to me, but they're written from a standpoint. They're written from a place of, I don't know how to say this. They're honest to me, but they're like written with the intention for Ben to deliver because of all of the things he's better at than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can just like, it's like playing a producer role in your own band.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're writing for his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're my words, but I'm writing with his inflection, his timbre, his cadence. Like I know what his strong suits are, and I know what my favorite version of Benny is.
Right.
And so now I can like orchestrate pulling that flavor out of him.
Cool.
But I just happen to be saying some shit in the meantime. You know, it's
Yeah.
more the point. Yeah.
Right. Your like message is still there, but it's said in a different way. It's interesting, and yeah, what it sounds like more so is that it's not that you like didn't want to do solo stuff, but it just like timing wise, like your priorities were like playing with so many other people and doing all of that other stuff.
Yeah, it's just not what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And then an opportunity came around where it felt like a good time, where it's like, all right, I feel like I've done enough to be relatively recognizable in the capacities that I do shit in. So the idea of doing a solo acoustic telling stories thing just kind of makes sense at this point in whatever this journey is, because it's like people aren't going to me for that. I don't think I would have done that I don't think I would have done that early on, because it might have been your first time seeing what I do. So like anyone coming to that show is aware that that's a deviation in a one, which makes it cool to me.
Right.
It's not like I'm going to start ripping coffee houses. Like, you know,
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
Totally.
But it'll be fun to wear for an evening, but then fully go in the weeds of orchestrating what that show would be like. Yeah.
And then it builds to it too, right? Where it's saying like, it's instead of being like a solo project who also has bands on the side, it's like you're in bands and you have this solo project that you also are doing.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to.
No, I want
Yeah.
to try it on, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of
That's
it.
awesome.
Like if I get like back to like if I got like I'm in, that was one of those like, oh, that could be kind of cool. Like I've never gotten to like long form tell the stories behind a lot of songs that people are somewhat familiar with at this point.
Yeah.
And getting to explain where that came from and where it came like from my brain is exciting, to have that kind of connection with an audience that I don't necessarily get to have in a like high octane lights rock and roll setting. You know,
Absolutely,
it's just it's
yeah.
a different thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope I can make it to that show.
That'd be cool.
I'd love to hear more, because I've heard like pieces of songs that you've written.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two like all the way through.
And there'll be like
Acoustic
Hasbens
ones.
songs in that set, but done with an acoustic
Acoustic.
guitar and a piano. So it's like it's kind of 50-50. Some of it's more of like the singer-songwriter shit I write for fun that I like feel like is worth seeing the light of day. It's kind of sad. And then some of it is just like, yeah, has been stuff in a setting that you've never seen it in, but it's still like, there's a cool way to digest that kind of music when it's that stripped down, because there isn't the like flashy polishness to focus on. You know, it's just about the tune,
So much attention.
which is exciting to me because I really like those songs, but it just drives the focal point to the song and less about like the energy or the feeling or the moment or the like. Yeah, it's just a different take.
Oh, I'm really excited for that.
It'll be cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. The sun is setting.
Yeah.
I do have a gig to run to, which I'm excited for. But
Very cool.
also, I think I could talk about this for like many
We can go for a while.
So yeah, I'm excited because I want this podcast to exist for a very long time in many iterations. And I would love to pick back up kind of where to leave it off
Sick.
in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to.
God, man.
What a treat.
Yeah, it's
So much fun.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. I have one last question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
I actually don't know which one this is. I think this is right up. Are you the person that was last on the episode on the podcast? Left you the question. What is something you've done recently that works towards your life goal?
I played guitar today. I don't know. That works towards my life goal. Yeah, I don't know. Something I've done recently that works towards my life goal. I have something really cool happening in April that I can't talk about.
Okay, top secret. But it's happening.
We'll see.
Maybe.
One of them's happening.
Cool.
It's a life goal check. I'll tell you when it comes to games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could guess it. Yeah,
Cool.
but that's exciting to hear. Well, yeah, make an awkward close of it, but yeah, thanks for sitting out here. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Taking the time.
Come back anytime. What a joy. Also, we like hang out. Like,
I know.
this is funny.
It's so silly. It's like on the cameras, man.
Alright.
Yeah.
Shining up.
I received a friend of mine.